Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today for our overview of the Aladtec Scheduling System for EMS. My name is Dave. I'm here as a support specialist with Aladtec, and I'm joined today by one of our system specialists, Jeremy. And today's webinar is going to last about 45 minutes, and we're going to take you through just an overview quickly about Aladtec, and then Jeremy's going to walk you through the system and go through some of the bullet points that you see there and much more. And we'll also have a question and answer period at the end. But if you do have questions during the webinar, I'll be here monitoring the background. There's a questions area and panel there in your GoToWebinar panel, so feel free to post questions in there and I'll answer what we can and maybe save some of those good questions there for the end so everybody can hear the answer as well. So take note of that and ask away. So at first here, we're going to get it started by just showing you a little bit about Aladtec and telling you a little bit about us. Who are we? Well, we're a cloud-based scheduling and workforce management software platform. Our system is designed to handle the unique staffing habits of EMS departments and other public safety agencies. We're based right here in River Falls, Wisconsin. We're about 30 minutes east of the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, Twin Cities, and there's a nice summer shot of our building here in River Falls. Our company, we started back in 2002, and we were a web-based scheduling system for a local ambulance service. And since then, we've grown to host more than 2,300 agencies across the United States with 145,000 users across the United States and Canada. Our EMS services and customers range from small rural departments with about 30 members or so to large urban agencies with hundreds of paramedics and EMTs in multiple stations. We do everything here in-house in our building, from engineering to configuration to sales and support. And there's some of our staff right there. And when you call, you're going to always speak with one of us here as a real person right here in Wisconsin. We can be accessed online anytime from any internet device, from any desktop, any tablet, smartphone. It always updates instantly, any changes, so users always have the most current version of their schedules and other content available to them whenever they want. And there's no extra costs. We provide all setup training, unlimited telephone support, as long as you're our customer. And there's a nice shot of our staff ready to answer your calls. With Aladtec, you can create schedules as unique as necessary for your department. It really boils down to, as long as you can describe a pattern that repeats for us, we can help you replicate it as a schedule and have it organized in our system for you as you wish. So there's a little overview of who we are, and we're going to jump right over and get right into the system and show you here. Jeremy's going to take you through an overview of the Aladtec features and some of its functionality and benefits, and it's going to help you determine whether our system is a good fit for your organization and possibly set up a custom demo for you as well. So with that, take it away, Jeremy.
All right, thank you, Dave. Just like Dave had mentioned, I'll be taking you through the system kind of from left to right here. The very first thing to know about the Aladtec system is that we are 100% cloud-based. So the very first thing that every one of our customers will get is a customized URL. You'll notice this one happens to be aladtec.com/EMS 2019. For the most part here, we will be focusing on the desktop version right away, and then I'll bring you guys over to our mobile platform and show you what that looks like later on. But the very first thing that everyone will see in our system when they log in is this homepage. You guys can always customize the homepage however you'd like to, generally starting with some sort of customized picture of your department. We generally put in some instructions, some videos, some phone numbers like that on the homepage. But again, you guys can customize it however you'd like to. One of the most important parts of the homepage is the dashboard over here on the right. The dashboard is always customized to whoever's logged in. Your supervisors and your administrators are always going to have change requests. So any of the pending requests that are coming from your members are going to show up here in the upper right. And we'll look at these in a little bit, but trades, sign-ups, and time-offs are all going to show over here. Each individual will see their upcoming shifts. We have what we call information expiration. So if your EMS department likes to keep track of expiring certifications, trainings, licenses, things like that, All you need to do is tie dates to each individual member, and the system will tell you when those dates have either expired or when they're expiring soon. This is also important information that if you'd like to tie that with the schedule so that the schedule knows which people are qualified and which people need to get recertified in order to work, you can use this portion as well. Upcoming events inside your department will show for all employees that it correlates to any available trades that are out there, and then discussion activity. We'll go in more in depth with all of this here in a little bit. The homepage is pretty self-explanatory. A lot of this information on the right is actually coming from the member database. The member database here is where you guys can store as much HR info as you'd like to. Whatever information you guys end up putting in the system will show very similar to an Excel file here. All of the information that you house inside the member database is always exportable to CSV as well. So if you keep track of it inside the system and want to export it out, you can do that with a click of a button up here. You'll notice a lot of the times it's phone numbers and emails, date hired, things like that. But all of the fields that you keep track of here in the member database are all configurable through what we call the member database configurator. As a supervisor in the system, you'll see the layout of each individual person's profile, and from here you can start to drag fields in, customize what type of fields you'd like to keep track of, all the way down the database configurator here. The more fields that you add in, the more sections you add in, the longer each person's profile is going to look. When you start to customize and save this member database configurator, all of that is going to start to populate into each person's profile. So as an EMT or medic, this is what Carlos Baker would see in their own profile. Each individual person actually has the ability to edit some of these fields, starting with their login and password. A very important part of the system here is our messaging options. Each individual person would want to put in their own mobile phone number, their own email, and then lastly, their own mobile phone provider. Once your members have done that, they'll have the ability to decide where they want to get individual messages from. So as an example, if Carlos Baker puts in a time off request for next Wednesday, as soon as that gets approved or denied by his supervisor, he can choose to get an email, a text message, possibly both if he'd like to. The same goes for sign up for open overtime shifts. The same goes for trades. And then a nice one that we see utilized quite a bit is this upcoming shift reminder over here on the right. If you have any members that like to get a reminder 24 hours before the start of their next shift, they can just turn the upcoming shift reminders on, and the system will alert them of when and where they're working for the next day. This is what the members see on their end. As a supervisor, it works vice versa. So as a supervisor, you can start to tell the system who you want to get messages from, where you want to get those messages in terms of email and text. And then on top of that, what time you want those messages to come through. So if you'd like to get the text and email from Aladtec between certain hours of the day, you can do that as well. You'll start to notice that we have quite a bit of different work qualifications in our system, schedules and positions. All of the schedules and all of the positions that you see in the system are all customizable by the supervisors or the administrators. Once you have created schedules and once you have created positions, each individual person is going to have their own set of qualifications. This is just telling the system where each individual can work, which schedules and which positions they can sign up for in the future. When we look at each individual person's schedule, they're going to have the ability to take time off for future shifts. And if you guys are the type of department that likes to not only see when people are taking time off in the future, but also to keep track of how many hours are in their bank going forward, we do have a time off accrual portion here. What this allows you to do is set up at what parts of the year and how many hours each person would be getting, whether it's accruing hours every year for personal time, accruing sick leave hours every month. Sometimes we see departments that have this set up for every pay period, whatever it might be. But once you set this up, the system now knows to funnel those hours into each person's accrual banks going forward. And it always gives you a little bit of history on when people got hours added in, when people got hours taken out, things like that. You're going to see quite a bit of communication tools in our system. One of the very first ones that I want to point out is the one here on the member database side. If anyone wants to send a message inside your system, to whether it be to all 31 members, whether it be to different groups, possibly set individuals, you can go through the member database here and click on send a message. This will allow you to send an email and a text message, possibly just an email, or possibly just a text message. A lot of the times this is just for upcoming meetings, any customizable message that you want to get out to your employees. When we're talking about actual upcoming shifts and finding coverage, we're going to look at the scheduling piece here in a second that allows you to do that. We've been looking at a lot of this from an administrative point of view so far. What I'm actually going to do here is switch over to what a member would see, because the majority of what the member needs to do in our system can be done right from their My Schedule page. Their My Schedule page is their own personal calendar. It's going to start to show them all of the days that they're scheduled to work, all of the days that they have possibly traded in or out of. And then on top of that, it's going to start to show them any open shifts that they can sign up for in the future. When it comes to EMS scheduling with the customers that we have here at Aladtec, we see a wide variety of volunteer and part-time departments that use availability to have the supervisors schedule people based off of the availability that they put in. We've seen larger full-time departments that have set rotations where members trade in and out of shifts, things like that. I want to start with just the availability side here. If you're the type of department that wants to schedule based off of availability, what your members can do is just go in and add their availability by just selecting random days. You'll notice in our system there's 3 different types of availability. One of them is just strictly available. We have one that's a little higher than that if they physically prefer to work a shift. And then lastly, we have one that's on the opposite side. If they want to list out the days that they're unavailable to work, they can do that as well. But when they've added this in place, what that's doing is that's allowing their supervisors to know what days Carlos Baker is available to work in the first place. If you're the type of department that pushes out your open shifts and allows them to sign up for them in the future, you can always do that as well. What Carlos Baker then can do is click on any open shifts he sees, sign up for it, and that would instantly send a message to Carlos's supervisor saying that he's interested in working the wheelchair van as a driver for 12 hours on Friday. The last option here is if the schedules are already in place based off of some sort of rotation, well, then what Carlos has the ability to do, he can still sign up for shifts, he can still put in his availability if he'd like to, but now that he's actually scheduled, if he needs to take a day off, he can just click on that blue day. It's going to prompt him to do one of 2 different things. The first one is requesting a trade. Lots of departments call these swaps or shift exchanges. In our system, when you click on request trade, you'll have 2 different options. One of them is what we call a giveaway. This is allowing Carlos Baker just to give away his shift to anyone that's qualified to work that in the first place. If you use the giveaway option, that's just strictly giving up the 12 hours without a repayment needed in the future. Whereas a swap will allow Carlos Baker to not only give up a shift to an individual or possibly sending out to anyone that's qualified, but it's also going to force that recipient to give back 12 hours in the future so that the physical number of hours don't change from a reporting or from a payroll side. Once that's all decided between the 2 individuals, very similar to time off requests and very similar to signups, that's going to go into a pending admin approval status and wait for a supervisor to approve it. Like I kind of mentioned, the members can do everything that they need to do from this My Schedule page. And because we see lots of EMS departments that have EMTs and paramedics that work at multiple different agencies, specifically if they have Aladtec at multiple different agencies, that's a great use of what we call our Share My Schedule option down here. If your members click on the Get link, this is going to allow them to share their Aladtec calendar on top of an outside calendar, whether it's Google, Apple, Outlook, or any other calendar, all they need to do is follow the steps that will sync up this calendar onto an outside calendar program, and it will always update with whatever you're doing in the Aladtec system. Again, this is just what the members would see on their own personal view. If they would like to see what's going on throughout the whole department, you can always look at the different scheduling views we have here. The most common one that we see on the fire and EMS side is probably the monthly calendar. You'll notice here it's starting to show you everyone that's working on any given day, starting with the schedule on the top, the positions along the side. Anytime that you guys have open shifts in the future, those are always going to show up in purple. And if it's pushed you below what you have decided is minimum staffing, it's going to alert you that as well, to let you know that you have told the system you need 2 people at any given time on the ALS truck. And as of right now, you're down to 1. If you guys start to have open shifts in the system, and if the supervisors want to blast out a message to your members, we have what we call a send coverage alert. So you just need to click on this blue envelope and follow the 3 steps here, just clicking on the open shift, telling the system which members you want to send this out to, whether it's everyone. We do see lots of times people will send this out to their part-timers first before they send it to their full-timers to cut down on certain overtime. And then you can just hit send in the lower right. What that would do is blast out a pre-filled email and text message to anyone that's available that lets them know that the agency is looking for a paramedic on the ALS truck tomorrow, November 14th from 7 to 7 p.m. And then as people are interested in signing up for that shift, they'll get a direct link that allows them to sign up for that right from their own phone or right from their own email. You'll notice here we've got what we call simultaneous notifications. So in that route, you're actually sending this out to multiple people all at the same time. If you guys want to set this up for the system to send out notifications one by one, whether it's based off of seniority or how much overtime they've already worked, things like that. That's a feature that we've rolled out here in the last couple of months as well. So it can really streamline your overtime and your sign up process going forward. If you end up using the simultaneous notifications and if multiple people sign up for the same shift, you're going to start to see pending signups below or on the bottom of that date. You can see Carlos Baker along with the chief have both signed up to be the paramedic spot. You can approve them right from here if you'd like to. The majority of times the supervisor will actually want to take a look at that schedule a little more in depth. From there, you'll always want to edit the schedule, whether it be from the calendar view here, highlighting the actual date and clicking on edit schedule, or actually getting into our hourly editor tool. That's going to bring you into a page that physically shows that date. This hourly editor tool is only for your supervisor staff. It's only for the members that have scheduling authority over those schedules in the first place. But you'll notice when we have open shifts, anything that's affecting that open shift is down here on the bottom on member availability. So starting with the people that have physically signed up for the shift, they always float to the top. You'll notice there are some other individuals that have put in availability. So they might have done that even prior to knowing that there's going to be an open shift. They just put that they're available for the day. And then on top of it here, you can see that there's a little calculator showing you how many hours each person is currently working in that given week or that given time range that you have set. Whether it be just the hours or whether it be different fields that come into play, whether you guys want to look at how many hours people are working in a pay period, possibly how many overtime hours they've got. A lot of times we see seniority as a factor, so you guys can always add in another column just called date hired. What that allows you to do is add more columns, and then it just allows you to do some more sorting from this page as well. So if you're looking to take the people that have signed up and the person that's the most senior right to the top, you can do that. Once you've decided who should be awarded a shift, all you need to do is click on the purple sign up. Again, everything in our system is time and date stamped, so it's going to tell you when a person signed up for the shift. It's going to tell you when the other individual signed up for the shift. The same is going to happen when we approve it. It's going to tell us who approved it and at what point they did that. When you approve the sign up, it's going to automatically float an individual up into that spot. And then you'll notice the other pink sign up down here disappeared. Because that's affecting a couple of different signups, the EMS chief would have gotten a notification saying they've been awarded that shift, and then Carlos Baker would have gotten a notification saying he's been denied that signup request. Everything on this hourly editor is all drag and droppable as well. So if you guys are the type of department that likes to break up a 12-hour shift and give it to multiple people, you'll notice that you can just go through and select Carlos Baker for the other 6 hours, 13 to 1900. When you click on add, he'll float up into that spot as well. So if someone's leaving early, if someone's staying late, whatever it might be, it's all fairly easy to do just through drag and drop. We are looking at just one schedule here, the ALS truck, but the same can be said if you're bringing in your BLS unit, your Medic 5, your wheelchair van. If you're moving people around the schedule, everything can be done fairly seamlessly, dragging and dropping. As you make those changes on the schedule, not only is that updating the individual schedules, it's also updating your reports and your hours here going forward. This hourly editor tool is, for the most part, where your administrators would need to live on a day-to-day basis just to ensure that the schedules are looking correct, to make sure your minimum staffing is set. And then once you jump back to your actual schedules, you'll notice everything will start to be in place. My personal preference on the EMS and fire side is the monthly calendar, but if you are the type of department that likes to look at daily views, weekly views, pay period views, whatever it might be, you'll notice this daily summary view is just starting to show the schedule on the left. The positions are along the side. And then the people that are working in those spots. A lot of times this view is very helpful for your local dispatchers to know who is working and where and what time. Moving kind of along outside of scheduling here, another big part of our system is our forms management tool. So any type of forms that your department likes to currently fill out on paper, whether it's vehicle checklists, drug box, equipment maintenance requests, whatever it might be, our forms tool allows you to move that from paper to electronically. So now your members can fill out these checklists right from their own phone, right from their own tablet. The forms that you create can have required fields as well, so the members have to fill out those as they go through them. The nice part about these forms is that as your members are filling them out, you can have them route notifications to the appropriate supervisors, whether it be a mechanic, admin, payroll, whoever it might be. But every time a form gets submitted, you can tell the system who should be getting notified. The forms configuration tool is actually very similar to our member database configuration tool, where if you guys would like to start from scratch, you can just design a new form, and then it's all drag and droppable from here as well. Date fields, pick lists, member drop downs, whatever it might be. But we do have quite a bit of samples that are generally good templates to start from over here on the right. All of the form information that's in the system, along with all of the schedule information, is all tying into reports. So starting with the form side, as you have dozens of different submissions for Medic 5 checklist or submissions for your drug box inventory, all of those are going to start to show you reports where you can look at all of the submissions in an Excel CSV format. The same goes for all of the hours that are on your schedule. Starting with the individual member report, this is what your actual members would see. So if they want to look at all of the hours that they physically worked in a pay period or a month or possibly an entire year, this is kind of their own personalized timesheet. Whereas a supervisor, if you want to look at a collection of all of your members' hours, the scheduled time report is generally the one that we see the most utilized. So you can see from here, it's showing you each individual person that worked in that pay period, how many hours they worked, if it starts to move them into overtime. So if you guys start to utilize this system to track the different types of hours, you can always use that as well. And again, all of the reports along with the member database are always exportable to CSV files up here in the upper right. The last report I have seen quite a bit of use out of is our system log. Every single action that's done in the system is time and date stamped down to the minute. It'll tell you who took that action, who it affected, what they did in the system. It even tracks logins. So if you want to track how often individual people log in, you can do that right from the system log. Just a very, very nice accountability audit trail for all of your members. A lot of our messages in our system are external, and those are going to show up as they get sent out of the system in the system log as well. But I wanted to kind of point out one here that's a little more internal. So instead of messages going out through a text message or an email, we do have one that's a little more internal called a required message. What this allows you to do is type in, whether it be a policy change, maybe a reminder of upcoming meetings, maybe a monthly meeting. When you send this out to all of your members or select individuals, the next time that Carlos Baker logs into the system, he's going to see that he has a required message coming from his supervisor. And it doesn't matter what Carlos Baker came here to do, whether it's to sign up for a shift, to trade away one of his shifts, fill out the vehicle checklists. He can click on whatever he'd like to, but he cannot bypass that yellow banner until he clicks the box here that says he's read and understands that message. Not only is that going to dump into that system log audit trail, but it's also going to give the supervisors a report that shows you exactly when each person is logging in and reading that message. We do see this required message paired quite a bit with our storage page. Our storage page is where you guys can create folders and then start to dump files into your folders. So it's just an internal library. You'll end up getting 200 gigabytes of free storage space, whether it be policy documents, trainings, pictures, videos, whatever it might be. Because we are cloud-based, the benefit here is that your members can get access to this from anywhere, from their own phone or computer at home, their own phones, things like that. And if you want to not only put a policy in place in the storage, but you also want to make sure someone reads that storage, that's a great use of the required message paired with the storage. Moving a little closer to the end here, we do have a discussions forum. This discussions allows you to create topics. It allows your members to comment on that topic. It essentially runs kind of like a running email thread. The nice part about your discussions piece here is that all of those unread discussions are always going to show up on the dashboard. So anytime someone has any posts that they haven't read yet, they'll always see that right away on the right. The very last tab here, and this is a tab that we put quite a bit of emphasis here at Aladtec, is our help section. We have dozens of different videos in the system. We have dozens of different blog articles that are pointing you helpful hints in different parts of the system. We've even been hosting quite a bit of customer webinars, very similar to this webinar. It's just tailored to a specific part of our system. And then when we're done with the webinars, we host them back into the video section here. But by far and large, the biggest part of our help section here is our physical staff. Our support department here is excellent. So whether you're trialing the system, whether you're just rolling out, whether you've been a customer for a decade, you can always pick up the phone and call our toll-free number. You can always email questions in. We're here on Central Time, 8 to 5. Very, very responsive, very good staff all around in our support department. We have kind of looked at everything from left to right here in the system. On the desktop view, one of the last things I wanted to point out here was the mobile side. So as members log in to the system from their mobile, this is automatically going to format into a different mobile friendly format. You'll notice the members will start to see some upcoming shifts, any available trades that are out there, open shifts, things like that. And as a supervisor, you actually get some admin tasks down here. So some of those pending trades and pending signups, you can click and approve right from your fingertips on your phone as well. So the desktop version, the mobile version, they both are compatible on any device with internet connection. So tablets, iPads, cell phones, desktops, any browsers or any updated browsers on your desktop view are all compatible. I think that kind of wraps up the system from a high level point of view. I'm going to jump in here and take a look at some of the questions that have come in. If anyone has any specific questions, don't hesitate to add them into our questions tab on the right. It looks like a couple of people here have asked about the physical time clock that they're seeing here. Everything that we've been looking at so far has been what's on the schedule and the hours that people are supposed to work. But if you guys would like to also track the hours that people are physically getting to the department and then physically clocking out, we do have a time clock module. This is also all cloud-based as well, so you can set it up to either allow them to clock in from anywhere with internet connection, or if you'd like to set up certain kiosks where they have to physically clock in from a specific computer on a specific station, you can do either way. But all the members need to do is click on their name, type in their password, and then clock in. The system will then know that they clocked in at 11:30. The same would go with the clock outside. And a lot of this can get paired back with what they were supposed to be scheduled for. So if someone is coming in too early or someone is leaving too late, you can always type or force your members to type in reasons for why they're coming in and going too far away from their scheduled time. It looks like another question here is coming in about integrations. So specifically on the EMS and fire side here, in the last couple of years, we have put quite a bit of emphasis on integrations. So all of the integrations you see here are the ones that we have physically built here, especially in the last year or two. What this will allow your department staff to do is take the schedules in our system and start to sync them up with your reporting softwares, whether it be emergency reporting, image trend, ESO, whatever it might be. Some of these companies as well are more like dashboards, first arriving. What that allows you to do is take your Aladtec schedules and get them up onto some sort of bigger dashboard with possibly some more information coming in. But these are the integrations that we have currently, and we're adding them at a pretty good clip here recently. So if you see any of these, definitely feel free to contact us or feel free to contact the reporting software side to see how that integration works. I think that kind of does it. Oh, it looks like another question coming in here from the merging PTO hours from QuickBooks into Aladtec. So when it comes to the PTO hours in our system, you can keep track of it not only in Aladtec, but also in QuickBooks. When it comes to our API, what we generally do is push information out of Aladtec into different payroll softwares like QuickBooks, but generally not the other way around. So if you guys are keeping track of your PTO hours in QuickBooks and you want them to be the same as Aladtec, a lot of times what we do here is just help you set those up manually right away. Make sure that the rules are set up the same as QuickBooks, and then going forward, they should always mirror each other, but it's not necessarily dumping in from QuickBooks into Aladtec. It's just one of those things where once you set it up in Aladtec, a lot of times it's just checks and balances to make sure it's lining up with what QuickBooks says. Yeah, and all of that's just a one-time setup. And when we bring on new departments, that's something that we put quite a bit of emphasis on is just making sure that each member is set up in their correct profile, making sure it's starting on the right date, making sure the accrual rates are set up correctly. Once you set up once in the Aladtec system, you can kind of set it and forget it. Doesn't look like there's too many other questions coming in. I think we'll probably let this sit for a couple more minutes. Yeah, if you'll notice over here on the right, if you guys have any, or if you want to download any of the handouts on the go-to webinar panel on the right, we've got 4 different handouts in there. Feel free to take a look at some of our customer profiles from other EMS agencies. I'm sure they use the system very similar to how you guys might use the system. and then some just benefits why Aladtec for EMS. So feel free to take a look at some of the handouts. And feel free to reach out if you guys have questions. All right, with that said, I thank you guys all for attending. If you'd like to see a customized demo of the software, feel free to reach out at 888-749-5550. We'd be happy to get you set up with a system. Thank you.